Paintingu, go, 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 go. Paintingu. Paintingu, go, 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 go. Paintingu, go, 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 go. Paintingu. Paintingu. Yes, that's enough. It's enough of you. Any tips you wish to put in the bowl for the little bitch bear? You may put them in now or later. Link in description to support the little bitch bear and ultimately support Paintingu. So in other words, he gets none of it. It's all mine. Welcome to Paintingu. Happy Woden's Day. I hope you're well. Where? I hope you're well. It appears some of my goo that I have attempted to keep gooey has dried up. These airtight containers are not as airtight as they claim to be. Disappointment is often present when buying cheap little things off Amazon. I love Amazon though. Amazon is like legit one of the coolest, handiest fucking things ever. And to deny that is just to deny reality. I mean, you can get anything from a prop piano to high quality professional level painting goo. Well, obviously you can't get painting goo on Amazon. Not yet, anyway. It would be fucking hilarious if you could purchase fucking episodes of Painting Goo on Amazon Prime in a few years. Oh, how funny would that be? Instead of that fucking queer little robot what's his name? I was gonna say Les Grossman, but that's that dude that made like the sauces and stuff, isn't it? Like wasn't he on like Ready Steady Cook or some shit like remember Ready Steady Cook? Did you guys have Ready Steady Cook in America? It was a British thing, I think. Um, Hilarious show, genuinely entertaining. You know, used to sit down and watch it with the fam. It's hilarious what people will do and say in terms of body language and like reaction time and mannerisms and shit like that. Like when they're in front of a camera and they're told to do a thing like bake a cake using only these ingredients, or like cook a meal in 15 minutes using only these ingredients, or some shit like and then the whole time while they're cooking some fucking dude's trying to like talk to them and ask them about their like early life and shit. Like it's fucking funny. But welcome to Paintingo, 2 Acre Indie Barrow, Brother Griffu Barrow, and Shirley Delta Barrow. I hope you are all well this fine Woden morning. Long rive, repup, republican. I genuinely just love reading Griff's messages because I'm like, how do I even pronounce this? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to be the one in character doing the Japu voice, like, and I'm here sitting, like, force fucking comment. Go you! Painting me! Painting goo! Democracy! Like, wrong rivalry, Republican. It's like, I want to get, like, I want to get more disciplined with the Defenderu Japu talk. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to try and stay in character for a bit longer sometimes because I genuinely can't do it. Like, for long periods of time, I either laugh too much or then like I can't articulate myself like at all nearly sometimes when I'm trying to do it. Like, I have a problem with speaking people. Like, I've like it's gone from a stereotypical Japanese accent, like, like a fucking Japanese guy trying to speak English. It's gone from that to just slapping an ooh on the end of fucking everything, and I couldn't be happier that that's how it's panned out. Like, oh, it's hilarious. I also think it's quite funny actually that I've genuinely become accustomed to fanning myself while ranting. Like, the fan was just sitting there, like, and I start just going off, I start talking, and I automatically pick up the fan and start wafting my beard left and right, just being like, I shall ponder the many facets of existence. I started playing Ghost of Tsushima again recently on the PlayStation, and like, what a fucking video game. Like, that's like, as someone who is like a massive fan of, well, actually, I wouldn't actually describe myself as a, like, despite what people would assume when they come to painting goods, like, obviously this chap's a weeb. I'm actually not. There's a lot of anime and a lot of Asian stuff that I like most people can't stand because it's too like whiny, and like, the overacting's a bit too much, or the cheese is too much sometimes. Like, they have a particular taste of humor that I either find fucking hilarious or I just don't relate to, which, like, is obviously fucking present in all cultures. Like, like, I've often wanted to, like, like, if I was just going to be nomadic and like aloof for my entire life, like, there, as an artist, there is a portion of my being that wishes to just like exist in the realm as like this kind of witness and like hang around with a load of like different cultures for years and absorb all of this, like, worldly knowledge. Like, like, fuck all people really get to do that, you know like, genuinely travel the realm and immerse yourself in multiple cultures for extended periods of time, not this fucking hop skip jump tourist bullshit. Genuinely move to a place for like 6 months or 3 years a piece for decades, traveling the realm, like, immersing yourself in African culture, the various forms of African culture, because there's like 50 different fucking countries in Africa with all these different tribes and all. Like, that's what I think is hilarious when somebody calls somebody like me or Owen or fucking, any truther, or like, and I'm not claiming to be it. This isn't a truther stream, This is I professionally take the piss stream. But quite often the main point that they miss is like, this whole diversity bollocks where they're like, diversity is our strength. It's like, yeah, like, that is true, like, that sentence, if you just take that literally, but it's always the same. They always come at it from like, this manipulative little demonic angle. Well, what we really mean by this is that, like, how they define it and shit, like, but like, the blatantly obvious diversity, if you just look at like human beings like, you have Asians, Europeans, Middle Easterner, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can try and break it down to like what, four or five major groups, or like maybe three major groups, but then you go into subcategory upon subcategory upon subcategory, and like when you can extrapolate the same cultural patterns from an island like Ireland. I'm Irish. I have grown up in Ireland my entire life, and I'll tell you now, there's a massive difference between like people in Parmetstown and people in Clondalkin. And Parmetstown and Clondalkin are less than a few kilometers away from each other. They're not that fucking big, and they are like technically a part of like the south end of Dublin, like which Dublin comparatively to other places around the realm isn't even that big. Like it's like it's a section of an island, like. And then you go to Africa, it's the same thing. It's like the place is massive, and they have like all these different tribes and cultures. People who live down the road from each other hate each other. Neighbors hate each other. Neighbors from the same race, religion, tribe, fucking bloodlines and shit, like cousins, despise each other and have differences. Some of them argue over what kind of pasta they want to have for dinner that night. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the overwhelming amount of ignorant assumptions that your average normie, I don't even like using that term because normal is such a fucking. There's so many words these days that have just been like the usage of them has been destroyed, you know, and like you'll say something like normal, and you're like, what the fuck isn't even is normal anymore? Like, which is obviously the like, well, not the, but one of the many um like tactical advantages to doing what they're doing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that, like the whole breakdown of like you start to question, despite having discernment, despite having faith, despite adhering to logic and reason and rationality and all of these things, like, and trying to be spiritual, but being realistic at the same time, and all these things, like, and these psychopaths behave in such a manner for such a long period of time, over and over and over again, that a lot of us begin to question reality itself. Like, and like I find myself laughing. Like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I have enough of a sense of humor to witness and, you know, perceive things that I find utterly like abhorrent and backwards and inverted, and like all of these tragic things. Like, do you know what I mean? There's such an overwhelming amount of sadness, tragedy, needless suffering, and all this stuff all around the realm right now. However, the thing that I have learned from being in this community, from having faith, just in general, you know, is like, is that not what makes it all worth it? Is to constantly struggle, like, as Owen says, fucking resistance is power. It's like, so in the resistance, in the to face down such high levels of deception and, you know, just rampant, widespread madness, to face that down, to exist now in this timeline, to be doing what we're doing, I consider it a privilege and an honor to do my part, to perform Paintingu, to uplift your spirits and remind you of the beautiful realm that you exist within. Breathe deep, brothers and sisters, for it is time to charge the chi. Long Riv. Oh, I already read that one. I read that one like 3 times. Nah, Brit think. Yeah, I figured as much. There's loads of stuff that I grew up watching that I would be like, Americans don't even have a reference for that shit. Like, have you guys watched all of Father Ted? or Faulty Towers. Those are more like famous, but one's Irish and one was like English and shit. Like Faulty Towers and Father Ted are like still holds up as some of the most quality entertainment you'll ever witness in your life. Like, right, prepare yourself, for we now engage in painting. Legit, it's like talking with a mouthful of peanut butter. It actually gets so difficult after a while, doesn't it? My jaw started to feel weird at certain times where I'm like, horror, like for like I've had brief moments where I'm like trying to like readjust my vocal cords and my jawline to be able to pronounce English correctly. It's like, hello, are you all well? Like, are you all well becomes are you are were. like, like I've sat there. I've just been like making cups of coffee sometimes. Like just like not even like not dressed, not in character. Like just thinking about the stream, and I'll be like making a cup of coffee or something like, I bereave, like believe ends up sounding like bereave. Bereavement, like death, like I bereave. It's like a lot of the time, like I'm like, do people even understand what I'm saying? Like, like, can you actually make out what I'm trying to say? All it does is make it more fun. Like, like that's what like I think it's so funny that like I only get like 30 fucking views on average on this thing, right? And already somebody has turned around and been like, how is this not racist? Like, so like, I'm genuinely excited to see if I get like lots of attention just to see people's reactions. Oh. What? Nope, not yet. A burp is on the way, but not yet. We can't interrupt the intro, because now it is time for PEINTEINGU! 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 It's PEINTEINGU! PEINTEINGU! Painting you! Painting me! It's PEINTEINGU! PEINTEINGU! Painting you! Painting me! It's PEINTEINGU! Let's fucking go! Ah! We return to Liberia, where a rabbit and a flower have engaged in mortal combat. Mortar combat? They're fighting with mortars. That would also be a hilarious image. Like an army of sunflowers on one side and an army of rabbits on the other, and they're like just using mortars to like shell each other. But instead of shells, they're like firing goblins at each other or some shit like that. Like, Allow the music to enter your spina, because it is now timer. For PEINTEINGU. Some epic music to begin growing the brood. PEINTEINGU, 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 PEINTEING, PEINT. paint, 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 paint. You can barely hear him in that section hitting the drums. He's literally like this. He's just like, he's like, and then like sometimes he's just doing this with one of them, and then it's like, I'd actually love to play taiko drums. They look like so much fun. Just standing there with two sticks like, yo! The rhythm of batter! The rhythm of creation and destruction! Yeah! Oh, I'm fucking roasting now. It was freezing in here, and I like slapped the heating on. Sitting here in a hoodie and all, like, so cold. And now I'm fucking like sweating. I always imagine like Griff driving along in the truck with the dog. And then I start doing the intro to PEINTEINGU, and him and the dog are just like, hey, let's fucking go! Hey. It's going to be a glorious day when I finally purchase myself a shamisen and start learning how to play it. I'm not going to, like, I probably won't even bother playing guitar or learning how to play guitar. And then I'll buy a shamisen and just learn how to play that, like. I was thinking earlier on today, actually, that, like, part of me does want to learn how to play the flute that I got. So difficult, though, you know? And quite gay. Oh, God. Stout Barrow, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Oh, what the fuck is weebu? A weeb is like a term for like a white person who like wants to be Asian, basically. Like they're such a fan of, I think it's just Asian culture. I don't think it just has to be Japanese. Like I think it can be Chinese or like Taiwanese or whatever. Like, although I could be wrong. I think it might like basically refer to someone who's like, you know, obsessed with fucking anime and like fucking Japanese culture and shit. Like, anime can be a psyop. Love Ghost in the Machine and the like, though. Yeah, like Akira, Ghost in the Machine, Evangelion, Gundam Wing, Cowboy Bebop. If you've never seen Afro Samurai, you're missing out. Afro Samurai is like Samuel L. Jackson voices a fucking black samurai guy who like constantly smokes like massive, like they look like doobies, they look like joints, but like they never, like, I don't think they ever like reference that they're actually like that it's weed. I think it's just tobacco, but like his cigarettes are just like really long or something and like loosely rolled, and he's got an awesome afro, hence, you know, Afro Samurai. But it's all about the number one headband and the number two headband. And like whoever has the number one and the number two headband are like the number one and number two best sword fighters in the realm and all. Like, and it's got some of the coolest fucking hip hop R&B slash, you know, like, you know, the whole Wu-Tang shit where it's like, you know, that ghetto culture where you have all these black people who like love Dragon Ball Z and like Kurosawa Japanese movies and stuff like that. Like, do you mean like that's what I basically am. I'm not a weeb. I'm essentially like a fucking, like, if anything, I'm like a wigger. Like I'm a ginger, like nigger adjacent, like ginger nigger adjacent Asian like spirited Irishman. Do you imagine me showing up to one of them pubs back in the day or something? It's like, no dogs, no blacks, no Irish, and I show up dressed like this with like a katana and shit, and I'm like, oh, like, this is insulting on many levels. Oh fuck. Persistence is fertile. Yeah, like I may not be like I'm not as consistent as I like. I'm really consistent, but like I'm still not as consistent as I like. Like I really admire Owen's ability to just like every fucking day without fail, unless like something, fairly like, not important, but like, it's like, oh shit, like, I've got to do something with the kids, or like I have to be a dad, I have to be a husband, I can't just be like, Big Bear right now. Like I've had moments like that where I'm like, oh shit, like, I'm supposed to be on at 3. I do PEINTEINGU Monday to Friday now. Like, that's my thing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and people are showing up and paying me, and they expect to see PEINTEINGU and stuff like that. Like, and I genuinely get like, oh, fuck. Like, do I postpone it? Do I cancel it? What do I do when I have to perform and I cannot do PEINTEINGU? I get annoyed at myself because I'm like, it's my own fault though. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm trying to do too much. At the same time, I must focus. I must compartmentalize my objectives and take action decisively in a disciplined fashion. Grew up on Faulty Towers and Red Dwarf. I've never actually sat down and watched Red Dwarf. I've heard it's really good, and I've seen clips, and it looks funny. I'll have to sit down and check that out sometime. Like, I'm so sick of the fact that like the only thing that I have to watch stuff on is like, like obviously there's the internet, so you can watch podcasts and all that stuff. Like, and like if you wanted to fucking go to like stream sites, you could just watch whatever fucking thing you want. But I like paying for stuff that I like. Do you know what I mean? Like Owens, again, like I love his principles when it comes to like how to live your life in a lot of ways. Like that's why I've stuck around in this community, like many of us have, like to the degree that I've stuck around, because I'm like, this guy fucking gets it. And it's excellent for people like me to have like someone to have like not a role model, but a reference point. A reference point of like, that's it, like you should look to be more like that guy and less like all of these guys. And like, as a young adult male, like with certain factors of arrested development as a result of my early life, it was very helpful to just watch and listen over the last like 4 or 5 years to someone just like lay it all out straight. And not having that from my own father, or not having that from like any trustworthy member of the like pop culture scene and stuff, like because like look at how many people follow Joe Rogan, and like look at Joe Rogan, it's a joke, it's an utter joke, like. But I refuse to be one of those guys that's like, oh, it's all shit, it's all crap, like it's all gone down, there's no hope, it's all like, I fucking feel so good right now compared to a few years ago. I see so much good things in the horizon. But like, that doesn't change daily stresses, it just makes them easier to deal with. This is just annoying me here. Sometimes the paper doesn't sit right on the canvas, and that causes it to like flap up and shit. Throws me off my rhythm. Right, let's dance with some demons and see who wins this mortar combat between a Rabbitoo and a Frowroo. Yes, you deserve all of those adulations and claps. That is some fucking performance. You should see the guy playing the taiko drums after. Like, that's like 15 minutes of him like playing taiko drums, and some guy, it's just two guys. It's just one guy playing the shamisen and another guy playing taiko drums. And the guy playing the drums, by the end of it, is fucking soaking wet with sweat because he's just been like hockeying the fucking drums out of it with 2 sticks for 15 minutes solid. Like you should see the guy. Like, he's fucking jacked. Like he's a small dude, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Like, fucking Asians, tiny niggas, like. On average, anyway. I've seen some Chinese dudes in recent years, like, you know, and like, I don't know if it's like all natural. Like, I have a strong belief that the old CCP don't mind genetically altering their fucking military personnel. Like, I've seen some Asian dudes that are like, you know, 6, 7 or some shit, like, and they're fucking jacked and all. You're just like, that just doesn't look right, like. Oh, God. Paint! Paint! Let's start. Well, actually, part of me was going to leave the rabbit and the flower alone today and, like, go back and do some of the background. And then maybe next stream go back and do the rabbit and the flower again. Because this is going to take me a while to fill all this in. I can't remember. Somebody said they wanted to buy a PEINTEINGU in the last few weeks. I can't remember if it was Shirley Delta Bear or someone else. And I can't remember what PEINTEINGU it was. But if you're in the chat now and you recently requested to buy one of the PEINTEINGUs, let me know. And or DM me or some shit like that. Legit, it's like talking with... Oh, I already read that one. Anime can be a psyop. Grew up in Faulty Towers. Is this really live? Wow, I feel like I've caught a moment of live 2 times in a few days. I should buy a lotto ticket. This is indeed live. Maxed out Peru. Where's my coffee? Oh. Every day, 3 p.m. Paddy Bog Irish time. So I don't. Where are you, Maxed Out Bear? You like? You in California? I can't remember where you are. Yeah, I can't remember what state you're in. How mad is that? Like, you know, that there's some... you look at, like, the Americas, and then place like Russia or something, like, the amount of time zones that are, like, on one continent, you know? So it's like... You're like, oh, yeah, I'm from America. Like, oh, what time is it in America? Well, it's like, well... and, like, to me, like... That alone, because I have a really, like, I do, it's just a fact, like, I've trained it because of the way I do my art. I have a really good 3D visualization in my mind, and when I start to imagine how the realm looks as a whole, when I take all of these factors into account, and you look at something like that where it's like, you know, you travel a certain distance and the time is different, and the sun is in a different place for different people, and like the time of day, it's either darker or lighter and all. It's like, well, does that tell you that, like, the sun is local? You know, or at least a hell of a lot closer than they say it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, I know what things feel like. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like a fucking sheltered mess that, like, doesn't know how the world works. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking Owen's so right when he's like, they make you question your, like, you know, your senses. And it's fucked up because, like, you'll get something, like, you'll look at something, or you'll hear something being said, and there's just some part of you that's just like, I don't know, that sounds like bullshit, you know, like. But, like, I know for me anyway, like, I'd say a lot of you the same. You don't want to be a dickhead. You don't want to shit on people's vibes and stuff. At least most of the time, anyway. Like, and, like, so a lot of the time you don't want to be like, oh, that's bullshit, because you immediately know that, like, you know, whoever's in your vicinity or whoever's, like, reading your shit There's gonna be a lot of people that are like, oh, here he goes again, Mr. Fucking everything's a lie. Like, it's like, it's not my fault. It's not my fault it's gotten that bad. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't tend your garden, there's going to be weeds everywhere. It's as simple as that. Like, do you know what I mean? If you let people lie, if you tolerate bullshit, if you tolerate this, then your children will be next. Who sang that? If you tolerate this, then your children will be next. Man, that's some amount of fucking truth in that one. Like, you know. I've often pondered, like, I don't really have, like, you know, a fucking great relationship with my father. We don't, like, talk regularly anymore, like, but I would love to sit down with him at some point in the near future and just, like, grill him. Just grill him for so much info. Like, there's so much I want to know, you know, like, to just be like, that makes sense, you know, like, because I've experienced that so much in my life where, like, you're like, why is this like this? And then a lot of time passes and you learn a lot of shit. And then there just comes this moment where you're just like, oh, right, I get it now. Like, and it's not because you don't have the intellect, you know, to figure it out in the moment when it happens. It's because you don't have the data points at that time to stitch it all together. Do you know what I mean? You're basically looking at a jigsaw puzzle with, like, enough pieces missing that you're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? You know? It's only when you get a few more pieces and you start to see a bigger picture and you're like, oh, right, this should go over here. Okay. You know? It's like, I'm still in that state of, like, childlike wonderment, which is surprising, you know? I'm grateful for it, because, like, I did go, like, I went through a period several years ago where I was like, you know, fuck this, I wanted to check out, like, and for years now, I haven't felt like that. I feel like I used to feel, when I was younger, where, like, I am just, like, I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, love being alive, but I still have that kind of bitterness as a result of all the shit that we've, like, experienced over the past, like, 15 odd years, both in my personal life and in the public, you know? Like, how mad is that, like, when we got, you know, educated in school and stuff, we hear about, like, you know, these horrific wars that took place and the destitution and the poverty and the tragedy and, like, people being brutally murdered and, like, you know, burned alive by flamethrowers, blown to bits by explosives, or, like, stabbed to death in a muddy trench. Like, you know, it's like all that horror, like, that makes you just be like, oh my God. Like, I remember thinking this a lot. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're so lucky to be here now. Like, you know, we owe so much to them and stuff. And, like, if it wasn't for those people, we wouldn't have these freedoms and all. It's a lot of it's bullshit. A lot of it's bullshit, you know? Just like the other stuff, like, oh, propaganda, like, from their point of view and stuff, like, the history is written by the victors and all that crap, like, you know? And having retrospectively analysed the past, I'm not going to say 32 years because I don't remember being an infant, but having retrospectively analysed at least the past 15 years of my life, which I'm only after turning 32, so that's half my life, you know. And you only really become self-aware properly, you know, around, like, 25. like, like, up until that point, my existence from the age of, like, 8 to 25 is this just real long mashup of screenshots and blurry animations that I remember. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I get years mixed up where I was like, was I 8 or 10 when that happened? Like, do you know, and that doesn't sound like a big difference, but at that point in your life, that's 2 whole years of stuff happening that you can't remember chronologically accurately, you know. And it's not just because I used to smoke a shit ton of weed. Like, it's fucking, like, my memory's actually quite decent. Demon Hunter Barrel. Welcome. Oh, PEINTEINGU. Well, if it isn't the Ginger Ninja, I should do it. Like Metalingu, Pimpingu. They're all gonna happen. But I wanna like because I have the bandana and the kimono and like this and like the fan and shit, like it's that's nice, like, and the gong, like, so I've already thought about it, and before I do Pimpingu, I wanna get black face paint, obviously. And then like I'll put it on my hands, but only on the backs. So like when I turn my hands are still like, and I want to get like big gold sunglasses, but like with no lenses, like just the frames. Demon Hunter Bear has legendarily supplied me with the hat, but I don't want to ruin the surprise and show it off yet. Although you can actually kind of see it in the background there, so I should probably hide it better. You can't really see it, so like that's okay. Like I just looked there and I'm like, oh fuck, you can see it in the background.
The neighborhood, it's where life comes alive.
Oh, life comes alive when people like you get the fuck away from me, you wretched, cantankerous, relentlessly, mind-numbingly, vomit-inducing bitch. Excellent. Paint. Yeah, so I want to get huge gold, like, glasses, just the frames, no lenses, Like, and I mean, like, big ones, like, like, big gold things. Then I'll have the hat, Everything's going to be purple and gold. And I really like this idea, so let me know in the comments if it's as good as I think it is. But you know the way, like, you need to, like, if you're going to go, like, pimping, you need, like, gold, like, chains or something, like, obviously chains are more, like, gangsta and stuff, but, like, pimps still have, like, bling, pimps have, like, ridiculous, like, chalices and, like, rings and shit, like, so, like, I think I should get a chalice, a bejeweled chalice, the gaudier looking, the better. The glasses, I want to get a cane, so I can sit here and spit fire to you little bitches on the internet. I haven't quite decided if I want to go like Southern pimp. I've been pimping since. Like, my granddaddy was a pimp. Like basically Cat Williams. Like, I fucking love Cat Williams. Like, Nick, please. He's got some amazing bits, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, like, I want to get, like, instead of the kimono, I want to get, like, a fucking, at least, like, a really, like, bright purple or, like, something that looks like a pimp coat, or like a proper pimp coat, like, the cane, the glasses, and instead of a gold chain, I had this idea, what I'll do is I'll get a gold chain, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another one of these, and I'm going to like dip it in gold paint, and I'll just have a gold brush hanging on a big thick gold chain. So like I think that'll complete like then Pimpingu will actually like instead of just me wearing a pimp hat and like whatever, like no, black, like I'm going the whole 9 yards, like, do you know what I mean? Blackface, black hands, pimp hat, glasses with no lenses, rings, chalice, and like fucking cane, And like if I can get or make a funny cane, I'm gonna do that too. Like, so Pimpingu's not gonna happen for a while. I don't have enough expendable income right now to like fucking buy a whole costume. Barely have fucking enough money at the moment to like get the female something small for Christmas. Like, I'm so bad with money. I need to improve that. Like, I'm so bad with money. I just like I get it. Like I'm not bad with how I spend it necessarily. Like sometimes I am. Sometimes I like, buy junk food or like we get takeaway or some shit like that because we're being lazy or something. Like those are the things I have to just like completely stamp out. But like the amount of money I've pumped back into my art is actually crazy. You know, the amount of paint I've bought, paper, like the amount of like I kind of did it well though, because like I can afford to like sit now for a while, and I have like a lot of paper, a few canvases, wood panels, like a lot of paint, brushes, all this fucking shit. I have some like really expensive brushes, really cheap brushes, like get a gold tooth, man. Like, yeah, I like fuck a gold tooth. I should get a grill. Like, I should get a fucking grill. Welcome, Apu Beru. I didn't. I like. Your symbol's very similar to maxed out Beru's. The blue. So for a second, I thought you were maxed out Beru. Paint. Oh my god, that'd be so funny. Pimp. Pimp. Right. Fuck it. I'm just like totally off track now because I'm just like fantasizing about Pimpingu. But yeah, I want to do Metlingu as well. And then I kind of want to do Ravingu as its own thing, you know. So like, there will come a point where Paintingu, like the whole 2 hours of Paintingu, will just be Japanese, you know, and then I'll do Pimpingu every so often, or like on an off day or something, like, you know, and like that'll just be like hip hop, club music, house music. I don't know why, but I think it'd be funny to play classical music. You know, like, been pimping since, and then it's just like, oh, sorry, just fucking violins and shit in the background. Like Metlingu's, like, I actually thought about Metlingu earlier on, and Metlingu is just going to be me, like, as me. like I have the beard, I have, like, you know, metalhead, like, sleeveless clothes and all, like, t-shirts and shit, like, and I'll just put my cap on backwards like I do, like, when I'm chilling, like, and that'll just be Metlingu. Maybe I'll get some, like, extra props for that or something, like, maybe I'll get, like, a prop little demon or a bat I can put in the background or something, like I also want to, like, incorporate other characters, like Garlos is going to be in all of them. Garlos is a staple hero painting. From my perspective, when I pull this thing on screen, it just makes me piss myself. I love Garlos so much. Do you know what I mean? If you don't love Garlos, you're gay. I'm sorry. Like, it's just like a Siberian tiger with a fucking, you know, PTSD from being the former pet of a Colombian drug lord. And now his shame is so powerful that he constantly wears a, like, really heavy steel bucket on his head and sunglasses over the bucket. Like, you know, and no, there isn't eye holes in the bucket. Just like, you know, in case people are like, oh, like, obviously there's going to be eye holes in the bucket so he can see through the sunglasses. No! He's a tiger. He doesn't need to use his eyes. He can smell you, hear you, feel your presence. If you didn't guess already, you should do what Garlos demands, paint, and you should like and subscribe. If you wish to support Paintingu, if you wish to buy any of my merchandise, the links are in the description. I don't know why, but anytime I see the name Tennessee, I read Missouri, Tennessee, Utah, Omaha. There's some state names that I just, like, really like. You know, like if I was from that, like, Arizona, you know, like Nevada, like, they have really nice, like, phonetic rings to them. Do you know what I mean? La 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 la. Like, I fucking, like, I just love, like, but then you have, like, there is actually a place in, I can't even remember what it's, I think it's Schneem. Like, there's a few places in Ireland, like, where I'll see the I'll see the name on the sign, like, and I'll just be like, what? Like, the only thing that beats it is like Welsh name places. Like, do you know what I mean? When you see a Welsh sign for a place and it's like, like, it's like, how do you even pronounce that shit? Like, it's like, that's all consonants. Like, oh, I love language. I really do. I love that's it. How funny is it that like people like me and Owen and like a lot of people in this bear community are more like would be called racist because of the stuff we say or the opinions we have. But the reality is that like I fucking love other cultures. I think they're really cool. I love their music. I love their art. Like Japanese fashion from like the Shogun era, like the fucking tapestries, the flags, the cloaks, the tunics, the flowing robes, the sashes made from silk and shit. Like the we just with all the plastic and like repetitive, like oh, it's broken by another one. With all that crap that we're surrounded by today, it's not a surprise that like you have all these people that be like, oh, that's racist. Oh, you're culturally appropriating. You can't have an afro. You can't have dreadlocks. You can't have tattoos. Do you know what I mean? Like, they never make that fucking argument. Do you know, like, fucking right. It's just like, it's so stupid that you genuinely do get to a stage where if you don't see the funny side of it, you will want to kill them. Like, your irrational behavior has made me furious. Like, a battle rages within me to vanquish you for your insolence. Like, I just have this burning rage that comes out when I see such hypocrisy. It's like I've said it before, it's the hypocrisy that gets to me. Like, people that say one thing but then behave in another way and then actively criticize other people for fucking the shit that they're guilty of. Like, it's just so like it's maddening. Like, it's like fury inducing, you know? It's just fucking like, and I know I know you all know this. You all, not all, most of you. Some of you are gay and don't agree with me. You all know this. You all know that the realm is riddled with depravity. But one of the things that I appreciate so much about this community, and not just like Owen's streams, but this community, is fundamentally what it provides us with is something that has been missing from the public sphere, and that is honest, genuine conversation. I said this on the stream there yesterday. I think that I love stimulating, long form, interesting conversations. And you can't have that with this PC culture, iron fisted fucking, you will think as I say. Like, like, how fucked up is that we're getting to a stage where people are like arguing over what you can, like, what opinions you can hold of things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you can have an opinion on thing, like on something, like, yeah, whatever, like, have an opinion on something. But when you start making claims of what is real and not, and what is true and not, and what words mean or don't mean, and like, and all this fucking shit, it immediately reminds me of like the and I didn't even hear it that long ago, but when I heard it, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. That I know it's not a story, it's like a historical fact, but like it is a funny story, like when you tell it, that there was a time in like recent enough history where a pope just declared that him and his buddies and God own everything in the known realm. Like, how much of an arrogant, pompous asshole you have to be to like write a bunch of letters and disperse them to the four corners of the realm, being like, I hereby declare that by the authority that I've personally, just like, I know you can argue that people give him the authority too, but like, you know what I mean? It is basically self-proclaimed authority. Like, it's like, well, I suppose that's how they get away with it. It's not really self-proclaimed authority. The people involved in the religion, essentially democratically, in quotations, fucking elect a leader who is like said to be the conduit between God and and it's like when you just speak it out loud, when you just say what these people believe and then observe how they behave. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just like what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, paint. Oh God. Like, there was a time when I was younger, where I would have looked at the Pope many a time in like the newspaper or on a news thing, and like there's times where he does just come off like a fairly, a sweet old man who just wants to like spread the word of God, whatever that is. Like, how funny would it be if the Pope just actually accidentally did that? Has the Pope ever, like, don't they do this? Isn't that just like all that shit really, like the whole Freemason thing of like putting one hand in your jacket, like, I kind of love that stuff. I can't lie. I kind of, because that is like that hustler mentality of like, oh, okay, well, we can't say it out loud. All right, well, I'll just do this then. Like, people will know. People will know. Like, part of me really admires that shit, like, because on a level it is genius, And like Owen raised a really good point there on a recent stream where he was like, what would you do? Like, really think about it. Like, if you were one of these fucking, elitist family members or some shit like that, where like you had access to all this knowledge and power and stuff, and you were like responsible for the masses and like and all this shit, like what would you do? That's why I said on yesterday's stream, like I always say it like when I'm getting a bit dark, or I'm like, talking about like graphic or violent stuff and all, like I always feel the need to preface it with like, I know, I shouldn't be the one doling out justice. And I know that I shouldn't be the one doling out justice because I don't have, the discipline and the requisite knowledge and the frame of reference to like, really do that shit. Like, but like, that's what pisses me off so much about the woke horde, the gay horde, whatever you want to, like, globo homo, clown world, whatever you want to call it. Babylon, is like, they claim to be the authority. They claim to have authority. They behave as if they have authority. And they treat us not only as if we are lower, but as if we are not even capable of comprehending how better they are than us. It's like the way they come across sometimes is like fucking. It really is like demonic is a great word for it. Like, and I am not a Christian, far from it. Like, I mean, obviously, like I relate much more to ideologies that are like the gods, not God singular, like the gods, many entities that are higher than us that control the cosmos and stuff like that. Like, like it. I find all that stuff so fascinating that I literally could sit here and talk for like 10 hours or some shit like that. Like, but there's a time and a place for such things. Painting. Goo goo. Paint, paint. Paint, paint. Paint, paint. Okay, paint. Paint, paint. Paint knife. I learned that Tennessee has two. Oh yeah, I just read Tennessee and went off on a fucking tangent. Like, I learned that Tennessee has two different time zones. Half, half is 1 hour behind Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, but it makes sense because it's just the angle of the light. Like, it's fucking brilliant. Like, oh, you're very consistent. I never learn or remember your pattern. Sorry, I'm in California and it's raining and it's raining hard today. I love the rain. I love a good hard rain, like real rain. Not that pissy piddly rain that like just kind of annoys you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I like hard rain, like lashing rain, loud rain. Like when it rains here, it's fucking intense most of the time. I don't know why. I think it's because we're like situated beside some. They call them mountains, but like, in my opinion, if you can walk up the whole thing, it's not a mountain. It's a really big hill. Mountains you need to climb. See you later, Lou. Maxed out Beru. No doubt you left ages ago because I am like always behind on the chat. It is a staple on PEINTEINGU that I am never on top of the chat. I would love to have one of your PEINTEINGUs, but I would have to take a loan to ship it halfway around the realm. I know exactly where you're coming from, man. Like some of the paintings I've sent over to the American Bears, like it's cost me like €70 just to send it over. So I make a profit of like a couple of quid. Like, and like I don't give a fuck. But then again, like I have to give a fuck. Like, I have a responsibility to my woman to like, make money, and if people are going to be buying my stuff, like I need to make a profit. Like, obviously I don't need to be fucking like, like I don't have that mindset of like, gotta make more, gotta make more, gotta make more. My mindset is like slow, natural growth, like progress, every time I get one super chat, I'm like, we're a little bit closer. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether it's £5 or like €1, like one fucking, what's the lowest one I've gotten? I think it was like one something. Do you know what I mean? It's like, they all count. And it's not because like every little helps. It's more like, I see everything just as a step in a direction, and like you hit certain like milestones. Like selling back in July when I sold that big symmetrical on the canvas for £450, that was like a big milestone for me. That was like that was like a confirmation and a reaffirmation for me that like I can do this for a living. I can make good money selling my art to people all over the realm, and like at the same time as having that confidence, there is also the sense of responsibility and stress and the fear and all the like, those days where I'm really tired and I feel like I need to rest, to have more energy the next day, to be able to perform consistently as much as possible. some days I just want to spend all day in bed because, like, sometimes I'm a bit stupid with my workouts, and like sometimes I'll work out a bit too hard, and like I'll be like really sore, and I'll need like an extra 2-3 hours rest, you know, just to heal, just for all of my muscles to heal and shit. Like, God, I need to put weight on. I weighed myself this morning. No, it was yesterday morning. I weighed myself yesterday morning, and I'm back down to 11 stone. It's just water weight. I just don't drink enough water. Like, I'll put on like 8 pounds in like a fucking day. I swear to God, like, I've fluctuated like at least 5 pounds, you know, like in a day sometimes, like, you know, just between like just water weight, like how much I sweat. Like, you're like the men in the chat, you guys like a sleepy house here, so that's probably just men in the chat. Do you ever get those days where like you just overheat? Like, even if you're just sleeping bollock naked in the bed, I just like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and the whole bed will be soaking wet, and I will be like sweating, like, you know, like glistening in the dark. Like, and it's like, and it's winter. Like, this happened recently, like, you know, and it's not because I have a fever. I'm not ill. It's like, you know, I don't drink enough water, and my diet has kind of like gone off the rails since my birthday. Like, since my birthday, I've like I started drinking regularly again. You know, like, not to the point where I get drunk every night or whatever, but like I've started to have, like, you know, the odd one, you know, because it's winter, and like, you know, I hadn't had any alcohol in a good while. And then the lads show up for my birthday, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's a lot of whiskey. Like, and I can't, like, you know, whether it's genetic or whether it is just my personality, I fucking love drinking. I love being around my friends, and like I don't like being drunk. I do not like being drunk because I don't like that state of being. I don't like not being in control of my faculties. I like my ideal vibe is like just a little bit tipsy, you know, and just a little bit warm, you know, and beyond that, I just like maintain that, you know. Pacing yourself is very important. I learned that the hard way. I used to drink like an absolute retard. I once started, like, we went to a gaff party one time, and within the first hour, I had a pint of whiskey, like cheap whiskey. This stuff was called Western Gold, and it was from like Lidl or something. And I got a pint glass, and I filled a pint glass with whiskey, and I was just drinking it. I wasn't even sipping it. I was like gulping it, and the pint glass was like nearly empty within like 15-20 minutes. And then within another 15-20 minutes, I basically created a small swimming pool out the back garden of my friend's house. Oh, it was a fucking sight to behold. Like, I was so sick. And like some huge guy, picked me up like a rag doll and like swung me around to like make me get sick even more, because like he was just like, get it out of you, get it out of you, you need to get it out of you, like, you know, throw it all up, get it out of your system. Like, I was just like dying on my ass in the back garden. Like, the party hadn't even like properly kicked off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people weren't even tipsy yet. Like, and I was already vomiting up my soul. Like, oh God. I used to deal. That's how I used to deal with stress. I used to just get blasted. like absolute, like, you know, like fucking not even fully conscious of what was happening. But like, it's funny, like, I know a lot of people say they get so drunk they black out. Man, I've gotten fucking locked so many times, and I fucking remember everything. And I think that's worse. Like, I've literally never woken up and been like, how did I get here? Or like, what happened last night? I remember everything all the time. I remember my vision, like, being blurry and like not having my balance, like, and like all the falls, all the getting sick, like all of it. I remember it all, like. I used to think it was so funny when people would be like, what happened last night? And I'd be like, you don't want to know. If I told you, it would only make it worse. Paint, 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 paint. I fucking love rabbits, man. And one of my mother's sisters, an auntie of mine, I remember she had this rabbit called Bob, and it was like this. It was a bit big, big enough, like grey rabbit, and I just used to love playing with the thing, like, and it wasn't even a very like sociable creature, Like if you pet him too much, he'd like try and get away from you. Like, leave the fuck alone, nigga. Like, I got lettuce to eat. Um, like I've always found that fascinating when you're like interacting with an animal and you start to gain information on like they have a personality, like, do you know what I mean? Like some asshole, like you could have 10 rabbits and like they're all going to behave differently in some aspects. Like, yes, they all do fundamentally the same stuff, they're all rabbits, but like they're all going to be different colors or like different shades of colors, and they're all going to have little like different like mannerisms and stuff and all. Like, so like, when I heard people being like, animals like I agree with the idea that like we are like stewards of the realm in a sense, where like it is, I believe it is our duty to like essentially maintain the realm. Not that it has to be maintained, because it just like naturally maintains itself, which in itself is fucking fascinating. But more like, show appreciation for life by just creating beautiful things and enjoying beautiful things. Like, like that's one of the reasons why I have such admiration and respect for like Chinese culture and Japanese culture, is because they have such a rich, old, deep, like music, art, literature, like, that like they have like their own versions of poems and stuff, like the way they do things. They have their own version of carpentry. That, like, their style of fighting and their style of swords are like famous around the realm. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, how many people know that Irish traditional warfare and culture, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we were like savages, in war. Like, people would fear the Irish because we were like, it was like fighting demons. It wasn't like fighting men. There's stories of Irish warriors like transforming into wolves on the battlefield and just like ripping 10 men apart and all. Like, these naked giants covered with red hair, blue paint, just like smiting 3 guys with one swing of an axe or something, like, and the stories of like more recent history where like people would come here and see our native sport, hurling, for the first time. It's very similar to lacrosse. Very similar to lacrosse. The one major difference is that the stick used doesn't have a net. Other than that, very similar. Where in lacrosse you can like hold the ball and like, contain the ball in the staff because the staff has a net, and then you can fling it. Hurls are just a plank of wood, and they're generally made out of a hardwood like ash. Like you could destroy a car with a hurl, and it looked like you hit the thing with a sledgehammer, but it's just wood. It's just solid, some decent Irish wood. Like, get a firm grip on that bit of Irish wood. Like, and like, people have told stories where, like, they see hurling for the first time, and it's like, these guys just beat each other with sticks to get to a ball. Like, do you know what I mean? And they do it for fun. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the perception of Irish culture is kind of like, we're renowned for being good fighters and like poets and having the gift of the gab, being kind of Jewy and tricky and magicy and stuff like that, like, but it goes so much deeper. And like I have yet to take the time to even steep myself in my own culture, but it's sad because like they don't even, like, they tell us like very, very basic, very fundamental, like, the tip of the, not even the tip of the iceberg shit in school, which is a tragedy. Like, I think all Irish schools should like really heavily push speaking Irish. And I hated the first 3 months of going to an Irish secondary school. Like, I was going through enough shit as it was. Like, my parents were breaking up, all this, learning a language, But it's my native tongue. How mad is that? You don't even speak your native tongue. You speak the language of the guys who own the island next to you, We speak English. We speak their language, And, like, speaking Oscuelga, it's like, if you know how to speak it, and you speak it well, it sounds beautiful, Nílam lífa ahilla, I think, is how you say, I am no longer fluent. Níl mé lífa ahilla, or bhí mé lífa, like, Oscuelga, och. Níl mé lífa ahilla, I think. I spent 6 years in an Irish school, and I did really fucking well considering I had no Irish when I went in there. And I do regret not speaking it regularly after I left, because you lose pretty much all of it in terms of like your speaking ability, but you still understand everything you hear for the most part. It's fascinating. Like, I'm so happy that I'm at least like technically bilingual, If you just speak one language, I think you're kind of fucked in a lot of ways. Paint. You should speak at least 2, ideally 3. And you should speak, a European language, English, and then like an Asian language. Like, to get the broad spectrum of things. I'd love to be able to actually speak Japanese or Chinese. Like, Chinese is bigger, more people speak Chinese, so technically would probably be more useful, Like, there are other for like, it's not just like PEINTEINGU and metalingu. Like, I'd love to do like a proper Chinese one, like, and like the fucking rice paddy hat and all, like, oh hello. Like, get like your little buck teeth going on and shit. Like, hey, wow. The Fu Manchu eyebrows and shit. Like really lean into it. Like, And then I'd love to do a German one. Guten Morgen, willkommen auf. What's it called again? Oh, I only looked it up recently. What's painting in German? Malerei. Fucking. Guten Tag. Willkommen auf Malerei. Just sounds like Mallory. Like the name Mallory, like, Willkommen auf Mallory. Mallory. Which is funnier, Mallory or Mallory? I probably would be funnier if I just said Willkommen auf Mallory. Like, welcome to Mallory. Who the fuck is Mallory? This is Mallory. Be like, fucking Guten Morgen, Jason Griff. Wie geht's? I loved German in school. I always used to love playing as the Nazis in like Call of Duty and stuff like that. I thought they looked cooler, Like Nazi uniforms look cool as fuck. It's so funny that they were designed by Hugo Boss. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, could you imagine that? Like, at one point, like, there's like someone sitting in a room, like, and it's like, so what look are we going for with this whole like nationalism thing? Like, and I want a deep grey and a blood red, like with black and gold trim. Like, it's fucking slick, like, And like they had like fucking style, like, and a lot of their weaponry was better. Not all of it, but some of it. Like, like the MP40 is a solid submachine gun. From what I've heard, I've never fired one. Like, but that's what you hear, is that a lot of the German firearms were like really efficient. Like the STG-44 was like one of the first like legitimate assault rifles. The Sturmgewehr, which essentially translates to storm rifle. Like, I couldn't believe that when I found out, like, katana just means sword, Like, when you're growing up, you think that, like, what does it mean? Like, fucking, like, what else would it mean? Like, it's just their word for sword, like. Do you know what language I'd love to speak a little bit? Is, like, proper fucking like clickety-click African. Like, I don't know what the language would be. Like, Nairobian? I don't know. Like, Ugandan? I haven't got a clue how many, like, African... Like, as from what I've heard, there's a shit ton of African dialects. I got a bit of yarrow in my white. Not good. You cannot do a frothy bunny rabbit tear with a yarrow. Yeah, I'd love to speak a bit of fucking, like, and all that shit. Like, like the same, in the same way, or in a similar way, that, like, trying to speak Japu all the time, kind of like, hello, like, feels a bit weird after a while. Like Griff was saying, it's like you have, like, peanut butter in your mouth or some shit. Like, in the same light, I think, like, certain languages, like that African stuff, like, it's just a bunch of clicks and pops and, like, like, there's, like, you're using certain vocal patterns and muscle groups that, like, you never use. Do you know? And like Mongolian stuff, like Mongolian throat singing, like girl, like that shit out of Dune with the Sardaukar and all. Like, being able to like I have a theory that, like, that's, like, one of the best ways to keep yourself warm in the winter is to, like, learn how to vibrate your core and shit. Like, because, like, think about it, like, nobody fucking does, like, nobody in the West sits in their fucking house, trying to warm themselves up, going like everybody think you're a fucking freak, but the reality is, when you do it, when you, like, vibrate your diaphragm and vibrate your core, and, like, it's kind of hard to do because a lot of it, it ends up here, you're just going like, it's like here. But if you can get it down, and, like, get all the way in there and actually get your, like, whole core to, like, vibrate and shit, like the friction, the movement, that, like, it's like you're it's not like you're boiling water, but like it's similar. Like, you know, that vibration creates friction, which creates heat, energy. Like, you know, like the concept of chi. It's not some fucking, you know, woohoo fucking bullshit. Like, it's just blood flow. It's just energy. It's just like it's just energy. You know, your ability to feel, like, the difference between, like, you know, when you get pins and needles, and then the feeling comes back into, like, you know, like if you've ever been like hypersensitive, you know, whether you were taking drugs or something, or like maybe you're in a high octane like situation or traumatizing situation. You ever get that like hypersensitivity where like you're just like hyper aware of fucking everything for a while? Like, you can feel the air where you don't usually. Like, I've had experiences like that before where like I can feel almost every hair on every point of my body, like, you know, like interacting with the environment. Like, I can feel my skin breathing, you know. Awareness of your body is so important. And like, fuck all people, like, and I always preface it with, like, not preface it, I always try and make the point that, like, when I'm talking around, like, oh, most people these days and blah blah, I'm basically talking about us in the West. I look at the fucking Asians and they look like they're fucking crushing. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, you hear all that shit with the Muslim population, and they're like discriminate against them, and they're like, you know, put them all on trains and camps and all that shit. You don't know what that's about. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to make any fucking. I don't have an opinion on that shit. I'm not there. It's not my problem. I don't know anything about the conflict. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll have opinions about like overall moral shit, or I'll have opinions about stuff that relates to like my life and this country and my culture and my people, the people I relate to. You know, when someone comes like into a comment section, or like, you know, replies or says something along the lines of like, you know, like, oh, so you're saying like, you know, the stuff that's going on in that country isn't horrible. It's like, why even bring that up? Like, that's a stupid way to make a point or an argument, like, is to just bring in some other irrelevant data. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's one, like, I think that's another thing that a lot of people could benefit from, is like learning how to argue. Never mind argue. Just relearning how to communicate with the proper amount of emotion, you know? Like, because you don't want to communicate emotionlessly, you know, without emotion. You don't want to communicate like a fucking robot, like. But like, you shouldn't communicate with like, you know, such ire. Do you know, like these fucking Karens and these leftists, these freaks you see on the internet, who hear something being said or see something being said or like read something, and they like immediately, like, you know, fire up the phone and like get on TikTok and they're like, oh my god, have you seen that fucking, oh my god, like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not a valid way to like address something or combat it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, fair enough. Like, if it's happening in your immediate locale, if it's happening in your immediate environment, and something happens, and like you're surrounded by a load of people in an environment like a fucking restaurant or some shit, and somebody does something fucking like, you know, rude or like, you know, unsociable, like, yeah, then be like, here, what the fuck, you know, like, then, you know, like, kind of be emotionally charged depending on the situation, like. But that is, like, that's it, isn't it? It's like, people lack basic discernment, you know, to be able to witness something, process it, and then behave accordingly, you know? And, like, maybe it is an IQ thing that, like, you just, like, because I process things really quickly, like, do you know what I mean? And it's because I see in pictures. I don't like, you know, I don't say, like, the cow walked across the bridge, and like I see words in my head, like you know what I mean. I just see a cow walking across a bridge in my mind, like you know. So like, and that makes so much sense to me because like when you look at like symbology and like you know the alphabet and like how things like work visually, you can transmit like a picture's worth 1,000 words, yes. So like I could show you this, right? Now if you're a retard, you'd probably say something like, is that a flower being raped? It's just me shitting on Moon King. Like he deserves it though. Um but like if you like you know if you like have a fucking moderate amount of discernment, you could look at this image and be like, oh, it appears to be a rabbit and a flower engaged in a knife fight with a city in the backdrop. You know, just like if you're not influenced by fucking mad shit, if your internal compass is working like correct the way it's supposed to work, then you witness stuff and you absorb stimuli and you like engage with things and you go, oh, that's what that is. Oh, like, you know, maybe I should pick one of these. Like, oh, that seems cool. Better stay away from that. Like, you know, like that fundamental instinctual shit where like you see like a fucking like, you know, bright yellow and black spotted frog thing and like in a jungle or some shit and you're like, probably shouldn't eat that. You know? Like I have a theory actually. Do you think that's why they made candy so colorful? That like future generations, when they like you know if they wouldn't be able to survive out in the wild because they no longer have correct discernment when it comes to food items in the natural environment. They would simply just see really colorful stuff and go, "Oh, that's edible," you know. I have a weird like feeling that stuff like that, like because a lot of these like grand deceptions are quite simple, you know, but very sophisticated as well. It's weird, like I'm so behind on chat. Right. It would appear it is nearly time for Ravingu. Yeah, like Ravingu will eventually be its own 2 hour segment where I will just play fucking retro's 80s synth music for 2 hours solid. Two Acre and D Bear will fucking love it. And so will I, because I love 80s tunes. But yeah, I'll wear like a headband and like, you know, fucking neon pink and green and fucking yellow and shit and like a sleeveless tee with a fucking you know what are they like glow sticks hanging out me and shit and like paint myself in like neon paint or something, you know. You know, if you know you know. Right. Who are you whistling at? Look, I know I'm gorgeous, but that's very rude, you know, to just show up on my stream and just sexually harass me like that. Like, you know, these people have no honor at all. At all, at all. Fuck you. Fuck Santa Claus. Fuck all of the Coca-Cola shit. I can't believe you people actually, like, get away with that bullshit. You fucking poison peddling freaks. The lot of ye have ruined the spirit of Christmas for so many people with your poisonous commerce, you fucking villains. Let us commence, Ravengoo. Oh, your pimp hand will be very strong. Alright, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Hold on. Catching up on chat doesn't match the energy of that music starting. Oh, Damo's here. Damo, you still here? I hope I didn't miss you. Welcome, brother Damo. Damien Curtisu. Or would I just call you Curtisu on Painting Good? I don't know. I don't want that paint to just dry on the bitch. Right, we have lots of comments. Antonio, welcome to Painting Good. Hello. I like the Irish culture, except for the piss drinking. Yes, we're all very ashamed of the rampant piss drinking. It's so funny because like your average person here is so like gay and woke and modern and stuff now. Uh, that like if you said like you're in therapy or piss drinking, like they'd be like, "Ugh!" Like like it's the total opposite. Like, but it's hilarious. We like it is true in a sense that like teenagers here. I don't know. Like, it's probably worse now than it was. But when I was growing up, anyway, you would drink fucking anything, and I mean anything. If it was rumored to contain alcohol, then you would find Irish teenagers in a field drinking it. Horrible. I love when people call me racist and then they meet my black wife and their minds explode. Oh, that must be so fucking hilarious. Like, oh my god, man! Like, you can come across like such a racist sometimes. Really? Ah, do you want to come over for dinner later? You can like really hammer home how much of a racist I am in front of my wife. Like, it's just like it's just hilarious when like you know yourself, and like you try as much as you try as hard as you can to be as like 100% real as you can 100% of the time. Because like, look, we all have to admit that like you can't be 100% real 100% of the time because contextually, like sometimes it does do more damage. It does more bad than good. You know, I've done that sometimes where like I just say the truth and I'm like, yeah, that didn't really help. Like, now everyone just feels worse. Oh God, I haven't had enough cigarettes today. Cold coffee. Oh, somebody take a picture of me drinking cold coffee. It's the most Asian I'll ever look. Like, um, oh, excuse me. Pardon me. Um, painting is looking great. Yeah, that is hilarious. Like bringing people home, fucking like your black wife, and they think you're a racist. That's so funny. Like the Pope can kiss my ring. Yeah, I I wholeheartedly agree. Nuns freak me out, man. Like the whole idea of a female, subscribing to a system where she's like never going to engage physically with a male and is like married to God and like they all dress like fucking penguins and stuff. Like it's so fucking it's stupid. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, like I agree with Owen. A lot of the Christian stuff, a lot of the lessons in the Bible, a lot of the truths that are put forward, great. Fucking great. There's a reason it's still around. There's a reason it's lasted this long. But to ignore the obvious, blatant corruption, lies, misuse of power, all this shit, like, the kids, like what they do to the kids, like, and it's not just the Christians, obviously. It's like fucking have all these different like it's like every country, every group, every gang, every like even like the bears. There's been conflicts in the bear community. A community full of people who like just like want to just crush and like grow and make and like be productive and like have a high standard of morality. Like even in this community, we have still had freaks, assholes, retards, gobshites, grifters. Like you cannot escape it. You cannot defeat or escape evil. You can only combat and resist evil, and you should. It is your duty. It is literally your duty to combat and resist evil, to resist temptation. You cannot remove temptation. You can only resist it. Some things will always tempt you. You will always be tempted. You will always have stress. You will always have struggle. You will always have pain. You will always have strife. You will always have tragedy, sadness, anger, all these fucking things. What you need to do is learn to discipline your mind, especially the men. Especially yes, it's more difficult for females, but it's like biologically ingrained into them because they're supposed to be that way, because they're supposed to be fucking around the kids and stuff like that. They're supposed to have empathy, all that shit. The men need to become disciplined, like, morally, like, noble again. Like, like, we don't have that. Like, it's just the men in the West, all like, for the past, at least the past fucking 20 odd years, we look like a bunch of hooks, just fags. Like, what I mean? Like, it's just like the level of shame I feel sometimes. Like, even like something like Conor McGregor and some of his behavior as an Irishman, because that guy's Irish. He's from Crumlin. Like, like, he's from Dublin, and like, and he's ginger. Do you know what I mean? And like pasty white, like, and like, this guy's like like becoming hyper famous, and so many times I was sitting there going, "Oh my god!" Like, so many of us on the island were just like, "Oh, chap, shut up, like, please, like." But then there was like, when he was coming up, there was loads of times where I was like, "Go on, you good thing!" Like, do you know what I mean? Like, starching fools and fucking talking shit. Like, he's funny, he's charismatic, he can fight like a fucking demon. Like, it was great for a while, and then just like, like, and it's important to have those public figures. Like, do you know what I mean? That's another reason why everything has gotten so fucking fucked up, is because we don't have loads of people like Owen, who uh, are a public figure, who other public figures interact with, who, like, we have access to directly. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so important. That's why he's making such of an impact. That's why he's like ruffling so many feathers to such a degree, because they hate it. Like, they're like, this motherfucker. Like, and it was bound to happen, like, do you know, because nobody was doing it. Like, like, people like me, if you're like me, you were waiting for it. Part of me wanted to do it, but I was like, I don't. Nobody knows me. What the fuck? I don't want to be a comedian. Not really. I want to make stuff. That's what I'm really good at. I like being funny. I like taking the piss, but like, I'm not a comedian. I probably could do this on stage and entertain people, but like, again, that doesn't make me a comedian. He's a comedian. He knows how to structure a joke. He knows why stuff is funny. He knows, like, how, like, a deep understanding of juxtaposition and rhetoric and all these things, like, and I don't have that. I just take the piss, like, so it's like, to have someone who is a professional, like, rhetorician through comedy impact the culture en masse. We were all waiting for it. We were all waiting. It's like every time somebody sold out, like, Frankie Boyle or fucking Bill Burr, or like, they don't have to be a comedian. They could just be an actor, like fucking anyone you've had any, like, respect or admiration for, and not because you idolize them, like, you fucking think they know, like, them. Like, I don't have, like, a relationship with Matthew McConaughey, like, but you watch a few films and you're like, that guy's really good at acting. That guy says some cool stuff in interviews. And then you see the other side where you're like, Jesus Christ, what a sellout! Like, and like, I've never idolized anyone. Like, I didn't. It was probably an advantage to being kind of like, my response to religion in my early life. Just like, I didn't idolize anyone, and I didn't idolize anyone for anything. I just knew what I liked and knew what I didn't like. And some things I like more than others. The whole idolization shit, like, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking, that's a really easy way to just, like, totally lose your independence, is idolizing something or someone. Um, Surely Delta Bear has the Bill Burr card. Indeed. Um, Technically, my kids are more white than black because her grandfather was mixed. My wife would call Bill Burr a miserable cuckold. Oh yeah, like that's what, like I saw. Like I feel ashamed to be a white male in the last like 10 years because I'm like, oh God, like the public perception of us, the the pop culture perception of us of late is so poor. It really is. Like, do you know what I mean? Gone in the mainstream anyway. Gone is the like Nordic Viking, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not gone, but it's been gayified just like everything else. Like, do you know what I mean? Like now being a Viking is sexy, like it's like it's always the same. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how can we make it sexy? Like, oh, are there any mountains in Ireland? Do you reckon? Um, I don't know if there are technically, like, by the technical definition of a mountain, does one of the hills in Ireland count as a mountain? But I don't know of a raised amount of dirt in the terrain on this island that I haven't seen it or been around one yet that I would class as like, yeah, that's a mountain. Because like all the ones I've seen, like people just walk up the fucking thing. It may take you a while, but you're hiking. Do you know what I mean? Like at best you're hiking, and you don't hike up a mountain. You hike up like you might hike up a portion of a mountain. Do you know? You might hike up the first few bits of a mountain. Do you know what I mean? But there on a mountain, there comes a point where you must climb the mountain. Like yeah, you've heard it here on PEINTEINGU. I'm making this. I will die on this hill. Maybe you could do prints of your art for people far away and get them printed locally in those regions. Yeah, I'm looking into like I have a place that can print stuff for me and scan stuff for me, but only to a certain size. So in order to find a place that has the equipment to scan stuff that I do on big canvases and shit like that, I'm gonna need to get like a train to Limerick, like on a random day with all my stuff or some shit, like or get the female to drive me there with like one of the canvases in the car or some shit, like. Um, so like I'm still working out the ins and outs of like every time I come out with a symmetrical, every time I come out with a t-shirt design or some shit like that, like I need to make it easier for people to choose whatever option they can afford. Because that's the thing I've like in trying to become business savvy, the fundamental thing I've learned is give your customers options and give your customers um like like quality, like worth, like you know what I mean? Like I don't put anything out that I don't look at and go, yeah, like fucking that's worth about this much. Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of a sometimes there's an inconsistency because like I'll like for a while when I first started doing the symmetricals, I was essentially charging I think €20 an hour. Because I was like, well, if I spend like X amount of hours on a painting, that's a couple of hundred quid. And like other artists and other art collectors quickly turned around to me and they were like, your stuff is worth like easily €1,000, like the original. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, sell the prints for like 50 quid, 100 quid, whatever, depending on the size or the quality or whatever. Like, but the original should be going for like a grand and a half, 2 grand. Like, do you know what I mean? And I did have that moment where I was like, I didn't think I was that good yet. Like, and like it's weird. That's how I know I'm not arrogant. I'm confident in my abilities. I know what I'm capable of. But I detest arrogant people. I don't like being like I don't like the idea of me working on something for like a week and then putting a price tag of like 3.5 grand on it. I think that's insane because I wouldn't pay 3.5 grand for anything. Like, but the reality of the situation is that my craft in that environment, like art, people love art. People pay crazy money for art. People appreciate art. you know? Like your man in France, like the second I put my fucking thing up on Instagram, he was like, I'll take that. That's deadly looking. And then sent me a picture of it on his fucking like he has like a sound system. He's like he has like a fucking office like set up with like a keyboard and like all these like I think he does like sound editing or some shit like that. Like and he's got all of these other paintings from other people and like, masks and stuff like like and when I have expendable income, that's what I'm gonna be like. Like I bought this for 50 quid off of an artist that I really admire and follow called I think it's Thomas Elliot or Tim Elliot. I think it's Thomas Elliot. And he's worked for like Warhammer and stuff. He's done stuff for Warhammer and like other studios and shit like that, like big names and shit. Like, he's a fantastic artist. And I wanna be one of those like, a rising tide raises all ships kind of thing where it's like if I start making it big, big, I don't know if I'm gonna make it big, big, but I know I'm gonna make enough to survive. But if it does come to a point where I actually have a lot of like income that I can afford to like put in other places and invest in things, I'm gonna like find artists that I really like and push them on people, and like buy their stuff and like advertise their shit and all. Like same with music. All this copyright shit and like monetization online. Like I play other people's music on my stream. And from what I've heard, like people, oh, copyright infringement and all that shit. Like, what I'd love to do is get like grassroots, like, small bands and stuff like that, or small, like, independent artists who make music and stuff like that and play their music on my stream. I'd love to do shit like that. Like, I'd love to like Owen's right. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, support what you like or it goes away, But if you do support what you like, it tends to grow, you know? I mean, look what happened to like if you go back and you watch the first couple of episodes of Painting Goo, it's nothing like this. Like no fucking music. Like I'm drinking Jaeger. Like it was just some piss take on the week on a Friday for like the Bears. Like like and now it's like a thing that people want to watch and like I fucking love doing this. It's hilarious. Like um, it's like it's a lot easier to be successful than people think than what I thought. It's a lot easier to be successful, but it's what degree is like what do you define as success in like a certain timeline? I'll get a super chat for €15, and I'm like, get in. I made 15 quid today, and like other people be like, that's nothing, and I'm like, that's not the point. That's not the point. Like I'm like, do you know what I mean? As much as I don't like strategize in my life and genuinely like think ahead much, I have like vague plans and stuff. I'm really good at like combat and like tactical, strategical moves and stuff like and planning ahead like by like 2 or 3 steps and like strategy games and shit like that. Like I'm not like amazing, but I'm like pretty fucking good. Like, do you know what I mean? I have a tactical mind, like, So I tend to look at things being like, that is good. And that's the end of it. I don't like having a like an over analytic like opinion of it. Like if it's good, it's good. Just let it be good. Just like someday it might be great. Uh, I took ill and put on 4 stone. You can have my weight. I'll take two. Like, no mess. I'm 11 and like for a year and a half now, I've been trying to get myself up to like 12. But I want to be like 13, 13 and a half. I want to be like, like, but I don't know if I'll actually be able to get there, like, in a healthy way. Um, like I've done a little bit of research, not a lot, but like from the little bit of research that I've done, like I think I'm lean. Like that's just my genetics. Like I'm very angular. I'm very lean. I think I do have like Nordic features and stuff like that. Like like I'm very Viking esque. Very very Irish. Very very Irish. But like in a certain way and not in another way. Like do you know what I mean? Because like when you really look at the old Irish and shit like that, like like you see a lot of people with like blue eyes and jet black hair. You know, and they're Irish as fuck. It's not just ginger. Like the whole relationship between red hair and Irish people. Man, red hair is everywhere. Like we're everywhere. Like uh, 14 pounds to the stone, yank. What's this? UK people and their stone weight. They talk like the rest of the world knows how much a stone is. I know, like it's like such an arbitrary, subjective thing. Like, oh, I weigh 11 stone, and it's like, well, like a stone or a rock or a boulder. Like, how big's a stone? Like, what the fuck? That's so funny. Yeah, like my average weight over the last few years has been like 75 kilos. I want to be like, I want to be like 90 or 100. I want to be like a 90 or 100 kilos. Like I want to be like heavy. Cause like I love doing the body weight stuff. I love doing calisthenics and all. Like, and I noticed that really quickly. Like when I was doing, like I kind of buffed up for a while there, but then like I focus. It's hard to focus on working out and producing art to the same level consistently. So I find myself where like there'll be a month or like a few weeks where like I'm like really dialed in like getting like ripped and like larger and like feeling stronger and like being able feeling more mobile and like agile and flexible and shit. But then I like feel like I'm neglecting my art, and then so I spend weeks like sitting, or standing or squatting or like in the lotus position leaning over something. So my body gets very stiff again, and I'm very stagnant and sedentary. Like I build up a lot of sediment in my system. That's what it feels like anyway. And then there's a period of time as a result then that I have to like kind of like get back into working out and shit. Like finding a a good balanced routine in your everyday life is like really one of the most important things you could do for your mental health. Because if you're kind of all over the place and inconsistent, it starts to stress you out, you know. Well, maybe it's just me, but I think men are like that. Like good routine, solid routine. Like I could literally eat the same shit every day and it wouldn't bother me. Like as long as it was half decent. Uh, like, oh, how dare you call me a yank? I'm no yank. uh, yeah, what's that? What kind of stone did they decide on to use for measuring weight? Shale, sandstone, granite, like marble, like you know what I mean? That's so funny. Irish pissing the bed, amazing. Um, I've like that's funny, isn't it? Like I've never pissed myself from being drunk. I've never been one of those. I had a mate back in the day, and it was like he was one of them. You'd nearly do it like every time. You'd catch him sitting down, and he'd just like piss all over himself. Like, um, but yeah, I've never woken up and been like, ah, shit, like But well, from pissing anyway. Like I've woken up and been like freezing fucking cold or soaking wet, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm just like I swear to God, I think I've easily dropped like a liter of fucking sweat just it while sleeping. Sometimes, like you should see it. Like sometimes, like the female would get up and go, like, "Oh my god!" Like the whole area where my body was, is soaking wet. Like you can see, like to the because it's so wet. It's like a different in color. Do you know what I mean? Like when something like you can see the difference in hue and shade. It's fucking like it's this massive patch the size of my body, like just sopping wet, like, and it's just from me like expending whatever is like in my system. Like it's weird. Like I do run really hot, but then sometimes I don't. It's weird. Like uh, shit, Apu the Avatar or Apu from Avatar. What the fuck? Oh my god. What do you mean Apu from Avatar? Like there isn't an Apu in Avatar, is there? Oh wait, which Avatar are you on about? You on about the Legend of Aang, like the last Airbender? Is there an Appu in that? I can't remember. Um, my mate called his dog Rabbit. I love it. One of the like funniest things I ever heard my entire life was when fucking my nan showed me I can't remember what fucking movie it is, but it's one of the movies with John Wayne in it, like, and he just calls the dog dog. Like, I just remember turning around to my dad. And I was like, "What's the dog's name?" Dog. Like, it's just dog. Like, um, Iron Man Maru, welcome to PEINTEINGU. You probably got here like an hour ago. Like, um, oh, you had more bunnies. Nice. Are these the bunnies you were talking about? Like, or the I can't. No, she was pregnant when you were talking to me last. Was it? Can't remember. Uh, I'd love a load of bunny rabbits temporarily. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd love to like you know be able to go somewhere frequently and play with a load of them and then leave. Because like they can be a cunt to keep. Um, and now the Irish are being quietly invaded. Oh man, this has happened so many fucking times to us. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not as bad as a lot of the Irish make it out to be. Like, do you know, oh, we're being taken over, we're being invaded. It's like it's happened already. Do you know what I mean? Like this has happened again and again. The English did it. Like fucking like I don't know who. Like the fucking Romans tried it before that. And look, we'll fucking kick the head off of all yous. It's our island. Like, yeah, it may take a while. Do you know what I mean? Like some of us are a bit like worse for wear and like haven't fought in a while and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I don't see like the Irish aren't going anywhere. Like, out of all the cultures, we're very, very stubborn. Like, we're very stubborn, and we don't, and we're the Irish when they feel threatened, from my experience, have have this culture of um we will engage you in combat honorably to a point. If we feel you have changed the rules of engagement, which forces us into a position where we have to like change how we fight you, we tend to lean into like, all right, we don't give a fuck anymore. We're just going to show up in the dead of night and kill all of you in your sleep. You know, why would we fight you in an open field when we can just make a bomb and like kill all of you in one go? Like you don't want to fuck with the Irish. like, and people notice, like, like you could talk, I don't know for a fact, but like I really like I this is the this is the feeling, and from what the pattern I've seen, whether it be media narrative or actual fact, like the history of Irish criminals, of Irish warriors, of like Irish politics, all this stuff. Like you don't want to fuck with the Irish. We can be fucking murderous. Um, like people love us because we're like we're welcoming and we have a good sense of humor and we're honorable and all these fucking things. Like our way of life here historically is very like agrarian and like druidic and kind of like very natural. Which is probably why like we like I think like I was saying earlier on, like there's these legends of like Irish warriors just like turning into wolf men and ripping people apart and all. Like I think that like the Irish just get to a point where it's like, okay, it's them or us, and obviously we're going to pick us. So no holds barred. Like rules of engagement are totally off the table. Let's just fucking get rid of them, And it's like I don't think anything is like off the table then, you know. Um, we fight with honor until we encounter an enemy that does not fight with honor, and then we forget about honor. Like, which is like the smart thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I used to ponder that. I was like, what? Like, if you have honor, Like look at the Jedi and the Sith or whatever like that. Like, or you remember that scene where like for the Star Wars fans, you remember that scene where like General Grievous and Obi Wan are fighting, like and then Obi Wan ends up having to resort to like shooting him with a blaster, and he's like, "Oh, so uncivilized," and like drops it and shit. Like I for a while there was like a conflict in me where I was like, I love and adhere to and admire the concept of honor. However, there are individuals and groups that do not believe or adhere to honor at all. It doesn't mean fucking anything to them, you know? It's like they laugh at it, like, like honor, like, and if you behave and act with honor, you can engage with other cultures and even like fight each other to the death and walk away amicably, you know, if you maintain honor. It's when someone breaks honor that it all falls apart. Because either one side will be stubborn, like the Japs, from what I've heard, suffered from this, where they were like, no, we, they were too stubborn, they were too dogmatic. They were like, no, we will act with honor, and they all got murdered. Like, and it's like, what's the point? What's the point in having honor? But you're like, do you know what I mean? Like, you might have died with honor, but did you die honorably if you all just got butchered? Like, do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, um, so I often pondered that. I was like, what do you do when you face an enemy that has no honor? And like the intellectual, like logical response is you forget about honor. Like you temporarily forego honor to deal with this dishonorable fuck, and then you go back to being honorable. And like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, you can't do that." Like then it's all just like arbitrary and subjective, and like if you can just pick and choose when to be honorable, it's like it's not about picking and choosing. It's about facing the reality of a situation that you have to deal with, you know. And if the reality of the situation you're dealing with is like you are facing an enemy with no honor, you are essentially facing a demon. You're not fighting a man that you have a disagreement with or like you cannot come to amicable terms with. So you're going to fight to the death over something like jurisdictionally or for trade or commerce or fucking religion, like something like what I mean. Like, but there's still honor there. That's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about just you're fighting animals. You're fighting human beings who choose to behave like animals. You know, so fight them like animals. Like, uh, it's not just the Irish that are being invaded, but I do believe they are a testing ground. I would agree with that statement that we are definitely a testing ground for a lot of this social engineering shit, which leads me to the conclusion that I think the Irish are actually behind a lot of this stuff. I've, uh, I've, what's the word I'm looking for? I have hinted previously of my theory of this that like you like, oh, it's the Jews, and then you go further and it's like, oh, it's not really the Jews, it's people pretending to be Jews because they're using the victim narrative, the liability shield, like, do you know what I mean? I have a weird feeling that like there's a lot of like Irish dudes at the top of this elitist hidden hand network thing, um just from being Irish and knowing how the Irish can be. It wouldn't surprise me at all to discover that a lot of us Irish, like, are actually behind all of this shit, which is why you see such a rapid growth in Ireland in the last like 20, 25 years. Like Google, Pfizer, fucking like, just like we're across that vast amount of water from the United States of America. And the United States of America is this, realm wide powerhouse, and the first thing that you get to when you leave America and go in that direction, the first thing you hit is Ireland. If you just like take a straight line, like, And I think because I believe that we don't live on a ball, we don't exist in like a spinning, like I don't think it's flat because that's a stupid way to describe it. I think it's flat. Um, but like I think geographically it makes a lot of sense how all this is panned out. Um, it really is the West versus the East, and has been for a long time in various ways. And the relationship between the United States and Ireland is, I believe, pivotal in a lot of what's going on right now. Because if it happens in America, it's like it fucking happens in Ireland like very quickly afterwards. Like the whole Lisbon Treaty thing back in like what was it 2006 or I can't remember when the Lisbon Treaty bullshit was. I wasn't even a voting age, I think, at the time, but our population was essentially given a democratic choice to vote on something, and we democratically voted no. And then our government was like, vote again. like, like I don't really agree with the whole democracy fucking concept either. But like, if you're gonna adhere to democracy and then pull that fucking stunt, it's not surprising that a lot of people here like don't trust the church, don't trust the government. Any form of apparent authority here. You know, they've really burnt their bridges for the vast majority of the population. Uh, Deutsch ist the beste. Be careful where you say that. Uh, I liked Liverpool, but I was only there for a few days about 5 years ago. Hope you start feeling better soon. Um, did I feel better? Liverpool? What's this? Are you even talking to me or are you responding to someone else? Oh, there we go. You hear about that migrant incident in Liverpool a couple of days ago. Seems like a bit of a copycat incident in the Irish stabbing from last month. Something happened in Liverpool? No, I didn't hear about that. I'll check that out. Yeah, that was an absolute shit show when it happened here. The fucking stabbing kids, like all this fucking and then it turned like so much bullshit, and then you have all these people like just like screaming and shouting and arguing with each other over shit they clearly don't know nothing about, like paintingu in the Christmas spirit. Richard Fordu, welcome to paintingu. Hail paintingu. I'm at my parents' place near Boston. Had to drive through half of Maine in the big storm. Was it? It was a big snowstorm, was it, or was it just rain? 100% defender. Even this community has grifters, retards, and jackasses, but it's a very small amount. Most in the community are salt of the earth. Yeah, that's my experience. It's like 5%. There's like thousands of people in the community, and I'd say about 5% are just like you know drifter normies that come in from Babylon for like stupid reasons, and they like hanging out because like nobody's having more fun than us. Glad you made the trip safely from the storm. Was it like I'm gonna ask like 6 times probably if it was a snowstorm, and then I'm not gonna see the answer till I get all the way down. Elfu, welcome to Paintingu, my brother. Speaking of gingers, my daughter's new boyfriend is a ginger. She mocks him all the time. I think he's got Irish blood. He's a nice kid from what I know of him, but it's hilarious that she mocks him. That is hilarious. Uh, paint the like button red. Yeah, too fucking right, man. That's a good way to say it as well. Um, People used to tell me the same thing about my Damascus knife making. I won't charge enough. Yeah, like I don't want to charge too much, but the people telling me at the time, they were right. I wasn't charging what I'm worth, you know. But then once you charge what you're worth, charge what you're worth. I don't want to be one of those people where like 10 years from now I'm selling paintings like originals for like 200 grand and the thing's like this big. You know, like I don't want to become one of those. If I'm gonna ever sell something for 200 grand, it's gonna be the size of a fucking the side of a house or some shit, like, and it's gonna be like intricately detailed and shit, like. Um, Go Tom Elliott. I love mecha stuff. That's kick ass. Yeah, I love his stuff. He's really good. He's one of my favorite artists currently, and has been for a while. Like, and I wanted to buy more stuff off him, but I couldn't afford it. But I wanted to buy something off him because I love his shit. Like I think that's one of the cooler. Like I'd love to see this in a video game or something. It's a really cool design. Like I don't know if you can see it from here, but like the thing's head is here, and it's kind of this like little skull thing. Like just the framing, the way he captured that, the angle, and the just I love it. And it's a sketch. Do you know what I mean? That's why like I look at some of these people and I'm like, their sketches look like you know something I would charge hundreds of euro for. Like, uh, so you're about the same. You're 6 foot tall and you're only 55 kg. Damn, you do look real thin though. You look unhealthily thin. Um, like I knew the second I saw you, like when I started watching the videos and stuff, and I was like, oh, you're like deathly thin. Yeah, you need to fucking start eating more sandwiches or some shit. Like, I don't either I missed it or I didn't read it or some shit. But like, is the weight um is your current physical state a result of the car crash? Yeah, I think that's what you said, wasn't it? I've heard a lot of people like that. They have an accident, mess up their back, gain a load of weight, lose a load of weight. Something else is wrong with them. Like, it's fucked up. Like, people don't uh, people don't get the care they need. They get the care they pay for. Like, do you know what I mean? And the care they pay for is so shit these days. Like you'd be way better off going to a fucking yoga master after an accident than a fucking doctor or surgeon. I don't ever want to get surgery on anything like that. Like I had to get surgery. Well, I don't even know if I had to get surgery from a hernia. I'm a firm believer that I probably could have found some fucking like shaman in fucking India or some shit, or even here maybe, and he just would have like massaged the hernia back in, like in through the pocket where it came out, and it probably would have been painful and stuff like that. Like, but like I wouldn't have had surgery, and the hole probably would have closed up over time or something. I don't fucking know. But like the whole concept of like cutting someone open to fix them, it's like we're not machines, you know. Like we're living things, and like penetrating our flesh and like opening us up and exposing our insides and like messing around with things. Yes, it can help save lives in terms of like like if you have a fucking sliced artery, or like a section of your rib cage is after being shoved into your lung and now it's punctured or something. Yes, like trauma surgery, um to a certain degree is definitely like necessary from what I can tell. I've seen and heard other things where like there's different ways to staunch bleeding, to repair blood vessels, to like encourage skin cells to repair and stuff. Like I've heard people like had a horrific accident, got surgery, have horrific scars as a result, and then later on you end up going to one of these like kind of outside sources, and they totally fix them up with like all natural stuff over a period of weeks or months. Completely change their diet, like massage them, get them to do like certain like isometric holds and stances and stuff. Like seriously, if you have any like niggling, like chronic discomfort, like I do in your shoulders or your neck or your hip or like any of those areas, like start doing qigong. It's so good for you. Like, uh, I'd give you 10 kilos. I can spare at least 10 or 15. That's hilarious. Yeah, like I find it difficult to put weight on. I put on muscle mass quite easily. Like I build muscle quite quickly and easily. But I find it really hard to put a layer of fat on. Like I look at my hands sometimes and I'm so thin. Like, do you know what I mean? Like there doesn't like I'm just like skin, muscle, and bone. There's like no fat there. Like I'm so like look at that. Look how lean I am. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that tendon running. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if somebody got a blade and just like there's no it's just skin tendon. Like there's no like layer of like proper like healthy fat. Like for a few years now. Like when I look in the mirror, like I'm like I look like I'm cutting to like fight. I look like I'm cutting weight to fight. You know, I'm so dehydrated. Oh yes. Oh my god! I have a friend that shit himself multiple times when he got hammered. Needless to say, no one wanted him in their car after a night of drinking. Oh my god. I've never like shit myself in the moment or like but I woke up twice the following morning after a night of like drug taking and drinking and like takeaway food and shit like that like and I remember getting up. I think I told the story on stream before. But I got up and I was just in my boxers and I went into the toilet and like when you get a bowel movement you feel a fart coming like. And the reason I went into the toilet wasn't even to like take a piss or a shit or anything. Like I didn't actually need to go to the toilet. I went into the toilet because like I was really warm. It was the middle of like summer or some shit like that. It was really warm in the room, and I was like badly hungover, and I was just like overheating and shit. So I went in, and I'm standing at the sink in my boxers, and I'm just like throwing water on myself, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, oh god, and I felt fart coming, like so. Just like I'm just standing in the toilet in the toilet in my boxers, and I was just like, just squeezed it out because all I thought it was going to be was just like fart, just like a fart, like. And I shot myself, and like if I could have captured a screenshot of the look on my face when I realized that it wasn't a fart. Like I'm basically standing there just like at the sink, like like mirrors in front of me, and I'm just like just have to putting a lot of water in my face, and I'm like, oh god, like and like I just like you just do that little lean and like squeeze it out, like and it was like, and the second I squeezed, I went like, oh god, what? Like I was so shocked. I was like, oh god, I just shit myself. Thank God I was already in the toilet. Like, I think the only time I've ever actually shit myself, like I've been in the toilet. Like, so thankfully I never had to like endure any length of period of time with the consequences of that shit. Uh, Same friend one night strolled into his twin daughter's room, opened a drawer of a dresser drawer, and pissed into it, thinking it was his toilet. I woke up one morning. I think I was still a bit drunk. I woke up one morning and I don't know why, right? But I just had this overwhelming thought of like, fuck, I forgot to put my socks in the laundry basket. And now I'm not going to have any socks in the morning when I get up because all my socks are in the laundry basket. Like, I don't know why. Like, of all the things to like panic about, I shot up out of bed and was like, oh shit, and grabbed my socks and went into the toilet, lifted the toilet lid, and went like this. And just as I was about to let go of my socks and put them in the toilet, I went, what the fuck am I doing? I, I was standing there in the jacks with my socks, and I'm just like, what? How did this transpire? Like, it was fucking hilarious. Um, I did the same. I pissed on my mate's mum. Thought I was in the bathroom. My best friend growing up, his little brother. I'll never forget when he told me the story. his little brother used to sleepwalk, right? So he gets up in the middle of the night, and I think he's like bollock naked or something like, and he's like fucking 14 at the time or some shit, and he strolls downstairs, and while still asleep, pisses all over the house phone in the hallway, and like apparently the way it went down, right, was like uh the mother was still awake, and I think she was in the kitchen or something, and she heard something, so she walked out into the hallway. And the first thing she sees is just her like 14-year-old son bollock naked pissing all over the house phone in the hallway. And she was like, Magnus, what are you doing? Like, and he's just like, he didn't even respond, like, then she's like, gets to him, and it's like, Manus, and he's like, leave me alone. Like, oh fucking hell, like shit like that just makes me laugh. Like, just just stories of like shit that happens in your house, like just people like, it's fucking. I laughed so hard when my friend told me that, like, that his little brother just pissed all over the house phone while sleepwalking. Oh fuck. Uh, Speaking of people without honor, sounds anti-Semitic. These fuckers have no honor. That's so anti-Semitic. Just because we don't have any honor doesn't mean like. Oh, so you openly admit that you have no honor? No, that like technically. I fucking hate the little like uh intellectual debates that these fuckers like. I got into that for a while. I got into when I followed Jim Bob. Like I can't remember, can't fucking believe I actually gave that chap 5 quid. Like when he was back in his car. When he was back in his car, it was good content. He was funny. He was making good points, and it was good content. And then when he went from his car to streaming for a while, it was great. And then he just all of a sudden started hanging around with Greek Orthodox people and hanging around with the Crucible. And then like some of the debates I liked watching because I was like, these people are like, it was just entertaining to watch gobshites argue over bullshit. Like, um, and they had a cool intro music and stuff. Like, it was very me in a lot of ways. It was like, welcome to the Crucible. Like, but the reality of it was just losers arguing over like fucking just intellectually masturbating on the internet in front of people, like, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck this, like these people are fucking grifting idiots. um and then all that shit went down, and I was just like, yeah, like, kind of saw that coming. Like, I was getting a creepy vibe off, like I noticed that as well when Jim Bob would like show up and be like, like, and like say something a bit, you know, like he was taking the piss out of Owen in front of everyone, like, and it's like, that's not cool, bro. Do you know what I mean? And like it's an honor thing, it really is. Like, it's like if you don't have a sense or an understanding of how to act, how to behave honorably, how to maintain honor, how to uphold, you know, not like a like a sense of decorum and honor and stuff like that. Like, like Jim Bob doesn't have it. Jim Bob doesn't have it at all. Like, and you could tell. Um, and it was disappointing because I really liked his content. You know, for the vast majority of my consuming his content, I was like, yeah, like all I was watching for most of the time when I was watching Jim Bob, all I was watching was Jim Bob and Owen, occasionally Tom Barnett or Christopher Gardner or something like that. Like, um, that's all I had on in the background when I was doing my art and stuff. Like, it was just hilarious. It's so funny to see all that shit go down, like, And then like he poked the bear, and then like, Owen's fucking like, oh, so you want to fucking, and then starts bringing up all the art and the Instagram posts and this, and you're just like, oh, like. somebody should just back away and like fade into the background. Like that's probably your best option right now. Like, but then he gets on fucking on his phone with his fucking baby. Like, you know, it's like I, I remember him going live, like doing that, and I was watching it. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's how he's going to go with this. Like, oh, it's hurting my wife and children. It's hurting my wife and children. Like, and like anybody who goes like, you know, I'm gonna sue him, and then doesn't, you know, like bro, like, you know, like he didn't just burn a bridge. He like self-destructed in front of everyone. Like it was just like, oh my god, like, and then all the fucking gobshites that are like, you know, that flip and like, you know, go with him, stay loyal to him and all. Like, and I'm just like, all right, Jesus Christ, bunch of losers. Like, and like most of them were bit like they just immediately showed themselves to be like totally two faced. Do you know what I mean? Like the second they started saying stuff, you're like, really, you like, come on, like really, like, oh, people are funny, man. You know, we are fickle creatures. I brought the cheap Lego team elf stuff just to get purple and pink Legos. I made a Lego Evangelion. Oh man, you need to send me a fucking picture of that shit. I want to see it. I love like big stompy robots for the win. I love mecha. I love mechs, mech warrior, like Gundam, all that shit. I can't wait to get my hands on a PS5 so I can play Armored Core 6. I'm like, as a passionate gamer, the past 3 years of playing fuck all video games and like just working all the time, there's a part of me that's like, like there my nerd, my the big childish nerd in me cannot fucking wait to have the expendable income to like genuinely like justify to myself. It's like, no, I can afford this. Like it's not like, you know, a stupid purchase. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because it's €500 on a games console. Like, in my current financial position, is mind blowingly irresponsible. You know, um, but I like that doesn't stop me from like I just so many games like the Demon Souls remake, fucking Elden Ring, RoboCop, like that game came out a while ago, and I'm like, oh my god, they made a RoboCop game. They made a RoboCop game, and it's good. Oh my god! Like, somebody please make a Predator game that's actually decent, please. Like, that's all I want. It's a decent Predator game. Oh. Yeah, just all medical issues. I've never taken any drugs or anything. Good for you, man. Good for fucking you. Like most people, like I've done that. Like I've taken the painkillers and just be like, yeah, fuck this, like, you know. So good for you, like not taking any drugs and shit. Uh Looking after myself. I just need time to rest and heal and get over shit and feel safe. Yeah. And that's not a bitchy thing to say. That's not like, you know, it may sound like I just need to feel safe. I need my safe space. No, if you are suffering from trauma, if you haven't healed from past traumas yet, you need to take the time to heal. Because if you find yourself in a place where you are in constant fight or flight, like your cortisol levels are like all like I've been there, you know, where just like all the time I'm just like, you know, it's so important to take the time to actually let yourself recover from certain experiences. Um, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm all up for like pushing yourself to do things like, you know, be like, you know, especially with things like exercising and working out or whatever, like push it to the limit, you know. Um, but you know, like all things in moderation. Do you know what I mean? It's always like I always say that all things in moderation, including moderation. You know, yes, you should get extreme sometimes, but not all the time, you know? And you should also not be moderate all the time, you know? You should be moderately moderate. Uh, I've made dinner for my friends who were on drugs, but I'm not gonna let them do it in my house. Every woman in my family for 4 generations are nurses, so I'm pretty open about medical issues and mental health. Oh, that's cool. That must be like a seriously handy thing to have. Upstate Mama Beru. God only knows how long ago you fucking made that comment, but welcome to Paintingu. Uh, the old fart to shart has probably happened to every single person at least once in their lives. That's what I thought was so funny about it. Like, I was just beside myself in shock. I was like, I genuinely thought I was going to fart. I was so shocked. Like, oh, God. In my native tongue, Apu means dad. You know, I am just using a different name today, but to answer your question, I'm in Canada. Uh, that's uh, that's interesting. Apu just means dad. Interesting. I apologize for calling you a yank then. How dare you? Palestine, much honor. You have to pay that away, Defenderoo. You gave money to Rimjob. Ew. Oh yeah, I sent him 5 quid. Like I fucking when he around the time he first created his membership stuff and all that. I was like, oh, like I've been watching him for a while. Like like I like doing that. I like doing my part. Like despite the fact that like I've like fuck all money. Like do you know what I mean? Like I'm zeroed out right now. I've like 30 quid in the bank. Like do you know what I mean? Like I have to make enough money to make sure I can keep the internet on the fucking head. Like do you know like, but I that doesn't mean that I don't like take the time to be like, no, like I've consumed a lot of his content. The least I can do is pay him 5 quid, you know? Because I don't worry about super chatting on because I've subscribed to UATV since its inception, you know? So like I'm like, no, yeah, like, like he gets like 6 quid or 5 quid off me like every month. Do you know, like just like there, take it. Like, do you know, and like he deserves more, you know? Like I've it's well overdue that I have to send him a letter and a painting or something with like some dollars in it. Like um it's just like it's behave like you want other people to behave, you know? And like I would feel like a cheap fuck if I had been in the bear community this long and like didn't put money into it. And I would have felt like a bit of a cheap fuck after hanging around in Jim Bob's chat with other bears, um and having a good time and like consuming his content for such a long period of time and like, not giving him anything, you know. But yeah, that didn't stop me from having a bit of regret when it all kicked off. I was like, I gave that motherfucker €5. like, like obviously in the grand scheme of things, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, I did have that moment where I was like, you motherfucker. Oh god. Like 50, like right now, like 50 quid to me is like, money, you know? So like a fiver is not like nothing. So part of me was like, you motherfucker. Uh, Great honor comes from great hairstyles. So true. So true. Um, no worries, brother. You could have called me worse things, like a J. Oh, God. Thanks, Defender and Honey Hugs, folks. Yeah, I'm trying to get through the people around me just to step back a little at the moment. Yeah, man. Like, just like all these people fucking trying to like talk at length on what way to be and why and all these things. Like it's just like boil it down to its fundamentals. Just don't be a cunt. Like I love that. Like just don't be a cunt. Do you know what I mean? We all know what cunts are like. Don't be one. You'll be fine. Right, I'm way over, but I'll go for the last 20 minutes. I'll do a 3 hour one. So for the last 20 minutes, I'm all the way caught up on the chat. So let's do some raving goo and some painting goo. Uh, right. If you have enjoyed Painting Goo so far, consider supporting Painting Goo. Don't make me take the bucket off of the tiger's head. Like, subscribe, link in description for super chats and buying of merchandise. And now, I paint. 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 Jump, 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 jump. Would it be cool if we set up a GoFundMe for the UK bears to get to the fest next year? I don't know. That's like... I suppose that would be a kind of a cool kind of like, let's carpool over to the Bear Fest. Like, can imagine it'd be kind of hard to organise though, getting everyone in the same place and then on the same... Unless you pool the money and then dole it out to... I don't know. I'm not good with that kind of thing. Planning group excursions and stuff like. Will you have a rave painting goo for 100 subs? You want me to do a full-on raving goo for 2 hours for 100 subs? Like, I noticed after yesterday's things that I went from 86 subscribers to 85, and I was like, I bet you that was Moon King. Like, fuck you then. That just made me laugh. A bit of shading on the knife handles there. I can't find bidet UK. I see bidet in France. It's okay. I'll send prayers to you and all over Northern Europa. Yeah, it kind of bums me out that I probably won't be able to make a fest for a few years, but then it'll be really satisfying to get myself to a position where I can afford to make the trip over myself, and partly because this community has supported me, yeah. Apu from The Simpsons. Thank you, come again. No, put holes in bums, Jesus. Yeah, you better stay away from that shit. What was it? Oh, yeah. A little bit of black. Paintingu. 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 Do do do. Mm-hmm. 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 Do do do. Mm-hmm. Do do do. Mm-hmm. Isn't a bidet a toilet bum squirter thing? Oh god. Toilet bum squirter thing. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo. Goo goo goo. Goo goo. Would you mind shutting the fuck up and getting the fuck off my stream, you fucking felt piddling fuck you? Would you mind? Oh my god, it's the heated toilet seat and bidet combo. It's weird, but kind of nice in the winter. No, sorry, it's just weird. Oh, it's hilarious. Oh.
We sit in the sun, in maze, we sleep, and we dream. Each of us dying slowly, the prison of our minds. We sit in the sun, in maze, we sleep, and we dream. Each of us dying slowly, the prison of our minds.
Still lots to do on this one. Background's gonna take me a while. Tomorrow I will focus more on paintingu and less on rantingu.
Is it a new world, or will it consume us all?
Painting goo 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 goo. 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 Do 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 do.
I demand to know what's going on in my house.
I don't even want to imagine what that feels like. You don't want to imagine what a fucking warm toilet seat and a bidet feels like, and you used to do BDSM and like dominatrix shit. Oh, like leather, chains, whips, zips, and like you know, fucking like all that shit. Yeah, no worries. A warm toilet seat and like a clean arse. Not a hope. Like.
Is it a new world, or will it consume us all?
Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Dun, 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 dun. You know, I've definitely gone over the 2 hour mark when the female is like, I'm on the way home, and I'm still streaming. do, 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 do.
We sit
We dream.
And we dream. Each of us dying slowly. The prison of our mind.
Painting. Goo, goo,
The
goo,
sun.
goo, goo,
It
goo.
fades. We sleep.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, bears and bearettes, niggers and niggerettes, I am going to leave it there.
Dying slowly.
I hope you thoroughly enjoyed today's painting. Goo. I have been Defenderoo, and I have thoroughly enjoyed entertaining you today. You, get the fuck off of my stream, you vagrant swine. Right. Until tomorrow, same time, same place, same high-octane painting energy. You've never watched paint dry like this before. If you would like to support PEINTEINGU, link in description. If you would like to purchase my merchandise, link also in description. Do not make me take the bucket off that tiger's head. I will unleash him upon you, and you will regret it. Until then, be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I'll see you then. God bless.